Welcome to the Bands Make Her Dance Fantasy Football League Podcast with your hosts, Taylor LaPrairie and Joe LaFever.
What's up, guys?
I'm so mad. I'm so mad.
September 17th, 2020. The official league podcast with your hosts, Joe and Tay. I don't know why you're so mad. I mean, this is a beautiful picture of a beautiful man that's behind me.
Joe, it's a combination of things that are getting me down. But yes, looking at David Johnson's self behind you on your green screen is definitely not helping. You're just totally gloating.
Look, it's week one. I'm not trying to, say that the season's over, but I'm going to take a small little victory lap on my David Johnson pick.
He's feeling good.
Looking at everything that happened to Lev Bell and Todd Gurley and Melvin Gordon and James Conner, I'm feeling good about David Johnson right now. That's all I'm going to say. Don't want to jinx myself. Lots of stuff to get into today. We've got news to break down. We've got some matchup recaps, waiver wire stuff, things for our upcoming week. So lots to get into. Before we jump in, Tay, do you have any hot takes from the weekend of watching football? It's great to see football all weekend.
My only hot take is that I might sell my fantasy team to somebody else at some point during the season, because if week one is any indication as how this season's going to go, it's going to be really, really long and really, really hard for me. Yes, I know that's what she said, but it was just such a rough week. I felt so good going into this week because football's back. You know how much I love football. I love it so much. Yeah. Vikings have a home game. They got a chance to prove themselves against the Packers. And then going into the game, I get a little alert on my phone. Miles Sanders is not going to be playing. And so then I have him in another league, so I go ahead and put him on my bench. And then I look and see at like 12:01 or whatever that Evan has left him on his team. And then he is starting him. And so I'm like, this is going to be good. And then the Vikings have a great first offensive series. Kirk's looking good, finally. Dalvin Cook, the offense looks good. And then it all just goes downhill. The Vikings were terrible. Absolutely terrible. We got shredded by Davante Adams. And not only did I have to see Davante Adams shredding my team on the TV, I had to see him shredding my fantasy team because he had what? He had over 40 points on me. I was livid. And then Alvin Kamara has a touchdown that gets called back. That really got to me. And then going into Monday night, Evan's talking some smack to me over text, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I think James Conner might win this game for you." And I'm like, "Stop it, Evan. You know me. You know my luck. This is not happening." And then lo and behold, he has 6 points, leaves the game after maybe 6 rushes. So it was a really, really rough week for me. That's my hot take. I might burn this fantasy league to the ground.
Wow, that is a very hot take.
I needed to get it off my chest. So
I feel that. This is the
It's a podcast, but it's also therapy for me.
This is the place to do it. Yeah, lots of football to watch. Lots of things that you said that we're going to get into. Yeah, I don't know. The Packers looked good, man. They might have the NFC North again. My hot take is that the Bills are good at football this year. I think they're going to walk away with the AFC East. I think the Pats will challenge them, but they'll take it. The Bills will take it. I think it's fine. And look, the Cowboys are going to shoot themselves in the foot this year, despite having one of the best, one of the most talented cores of wide receivers in the league. I mean, when you think of teams, when you think of complete offensive teams, I think of the Chiefs. I think of kind of the Saints. I mean, it's one receiver, an okay tight end, and sweet running backs. But you got to throw Dallas into the conversation. You have 3 wide receivers. I mean,
strictly weapons. Yes, I would agree. Cowboys.
Yeah, exactly. Strictly, I'm just talking weapons here. I mean, CeeDee Lamb looked great in his rookie debut, but man, they find a way every single year to shoot themselves in the foot.
They're like the Vikings. They have amateur, tier 3 quarterback play and not really good offensive coaching like ever. So it's
it could be a long season for some teams.
And I want to dispel any rumors out there. I am not a Cowboys fan. Some people think that I am. My father is a Cowboys fan, and I grew up a Cowboys fan, but I do not like the Cowboys. Okay, I just want to get that through. Everybody needs to know that. Very important.
Sure. Yeah, we all believe you, Taylor. All right, time for some news.
News from around the league.
All right, breaking down some news. We had some contract signings, nothing too big to get into. Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara signed some new contracts. That's got to make you feel good about your first-round pick if you have Dalvin, or for you, Alvin.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Happy about Alvin. And Dalvin Cook getting signed, it doesn't matter. The offensive line sucks. It doesn't matter.
He did look good this weekend, though, so we'll see what happens. Cooper Kupp signs an extension, too. I'm not too interested in that. I mean, it had to happen for LA, and it's a good thing that it did. Mohamed Sanu signs a contract with the 49ers. Are we interested at all?
I am not. I will definitely pass. I mean, I was more interested. I would be more interested. I was more interested when he signed with the Patriots than I am with the 49ers. I'm really not interested in Mohamed Sanu. I don't really believe in the talent. Their identity is so much in the run game. I don't see the value in Mohamed Sanu.
Yeah, I don't really buy it either. The only thing that did come up is that he reunites with Kyle Shanahan, who was with him in Atlanta when Mo Sanu was a decent third wide receiver option for Matt Ryan. I don't think it's really anything to take note of. I think that Mohamed Sanu was great because of Julio Jones. That's what I think. I think that he was a good, really he was the third option because they also had Calvin Ridley. They definitely don't have that set up. He's going to get covered with the 49ers, and the defense in that division is really pretty strong. So, yep, I agree.
I'll pass.
I will pass as well. Some big injuries from the weekend. Some of them we knew going into the weekend. Some of them we did not. Obviously, Kenny Golladay is out. He did not practice Wednesday either.
Happy about that. I got Marvin Jones. I'm happy about that one. Yep. Stay off the field, Kenny G.
Yeah. Well, man, the Lions. Oh, that was the game that I watched instead of the Packers Vikings, and it was just heartbreaking. Also, because at that point I needed some points from Stafford, and that last touchdown to DeAndre Swift really would have helped me out. Really would have helped the Lions out.
Got to catch that ball. Come on, Swift.
Come on. Yeah, he really.
And can we give it up for Mitch Trubisky though? He knows that he doesn't want to be homeless. He knows that he's on thin ice. Turn it on right there at the end. He looked terrible though in the begining of the game. Absolutely terrible.
So bad. Nick Foles should have come in that game, but somehow the Fighting Trubiskys beat the Lions.
Nagy knows. He knows what he's doing.
Matt Patricia might be without a job after this year. All right, back to injuries. Miles Sanders obviously did not play this weekend. Was a scratch. Still dealing with something. He did practice on Wednesday. The big one though, Michael Thomas.
This is scary.
Ankle sprain. Out for several weeks. Definitely. Well, I shouldn't say definitely. It's looking like he's not going to play Monday night against the Raiders. Man, this sucks because it happened at the end of the game too. Not looking good for Michael Thomas.
I'm happy though, hoping that who's got Emmanuel Sanders in our league?
That's Kevin.
Oh, great! And I play him this week. Yeah, that might be a pretty good start. And then Jared Cook. I don't know. We're going to talk about this monster trade here in a second, but I'm definitely gonna see Jared Cook getting a lot more of those targets.
Tay, let me ask you about James Conner. I know that you have him. I know you believe in the talent. I did too.
It's kind of the talent. It's more so like that Mike Tomlin uses a bell cow running back. We know that he likes to do that. And with James Conner, you have somebody that can catch passes.
Right.
And I with injury, like for instance, my first season in this league, we had Leonard Fournette, and I remember taking him super, super high, and then he played like 3 games that season, and with the injury thing, I was kind of like, nah, I'm not gonna play that. And then going into the next season, I just stayed away from anybody that was injured last year. I was like, no, they're probably gonna have another, some ripple effects. And then everybody, it seemed like, just went off. Like Cooper Kupp was like the wide receiver 4 on the year. Leonard Fournette balled out. And so then I was kind of like, you know what? I was probably overreacting. So I flipped back to the other side, and I was like, no, James Conner is gonna be great. And then obviously we saw what happened on Monday night.
Yeah, not looking good. I think it was classified as I can't remember, ankle or knee or something.
Ankle, yeah.
Ankle, yeah. Okay, so he didn't practice Wednesday. We'll see what happens. Tomlin is probably going to announce whether Snell is the starter for the weekend. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll see. This is another big one. Lev Bell sent to IR for 3 weeks. Didn't look particularly well. I'll be honest. The Jets just did not look good at all against the Bills. But now the old eternal Frank Gore has been named the starter in New York for this coming weekend.
Old Faithful.
Old Faithful, man. Chris Godwin's in concussion protocol. This is defense. I think it kind of impacts fantasy. Richard Sherman to the IR. Didn't see that coming. I think you might be able to pass on the 49ers now.
Maybe. We'll see.
So, yeah, we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. The other big thing out of San Francisco is George Kittle. He did not practice Wednesday. I heard he's kind of dealing with the same injury that he had last year. He is expected to play Sunday, but we'll keep an eye on it. Might have to find another pass-catching option in San Francisco. Okay, the other big news was we had a trade in our league already. Week 1, a trade. As my buddy likes to call it, it happened on Monday night. My buddy likes to call it a Monday night special. It happened halfway between the first Monday, or halfway into the Monday night game, the first Monday night game. The conditions of the deal, we'll talk about it, are my ball Zach Ertz trades Jared Cook and Jonathan Taylor to the Teddy Brewskis for Terry McLaurin and Jordan Howard. Now, I have a lot to say about this. Obviously, my team's involved. I'm going to let you start.
I just hope this thing is working. Tim, if you're out there, do not trade to the evil emperor. You just don't do it. And this trade, I saw this and I freaked out because I just think it's so unfair. Okay, I think Jordan Howard, I did believe in. I was really irritated when you drafted him right before me. I was eyeing him, and then you stole him. But then he didn't show up, and he didn't get the largest number of carries. And it's gonna obviously Miami's not a good football team, and they have Matt Breida. But then Myles Gaskin looks like he's the guy. And so when Tim said that he wanted Jordan Howard, yeah, I was just shocked.
Yeah, here let me jump in here because this is, I want people to know this. This was not the trade that was proposed. Okay, the original trade was Terry McLaurin and Nyheim Hines for Jonathan Taylor and Jared Cook. I threw it out there just to see what happened, not really expecting much to happen. Tim comes back and says, yeah, I'll take that deal, except I want Jordan Howard instead of Nyheim Hines. I was like, are you sure? And he was like, yes. So I put it through. The following morning, Derek texts me and says, dude, I don't know, this doesn't really look fair. And then I explained, yo, Tim wants this. And we both checked in. I texted Tim again. I was like, Tim, are you sure you want Jordan Howard instead of Nyheim Hines? And he was like, yes, I think he's going to have a big year. And here we are.
Tim's got it. Tim. Sorry, you're either nuts or you know some intel that we don't. Like, are you teaching like horn lessons to like Fitzpatrick's kids or something like that? Like, you got to know something because I just don't understand this at all.
Yeah, I just like, yeah. We you're right. You know how many carries Jordan Howard had on Sunday?
Eight or nine.
You know how many yards he had off those 8 carries?
-6.
Well, he was positive, but it was 7. He averaged 0.9 yards per carry. We won't get into it. I was shocked. I'm not trying to like steal from Tim, but it just so happened that it was him that wanted me to steal from him. So I had
just
to.
another thing that makes Joe's team better. It's injuries, it's free agency pickups, and then this trade. It just things are looking good for the Teddy Brewskis.
It's beautiful. I love it. All right, waiver wire madness. The first waiver period. Big one. We knew this was going to happen. Malcolm Brown was sitting there. We knew he was going to be first off of waivers. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air gets him for $63. The next highest was you, hooked on a Thielen at $38. I'm not surprised at the cash spent. I mean, if you wanted Malcolm Brown, I think you had to spend 20 to 30% of your fab budget, and Derek needed him for his team. Not looking strong, but after his first 2 running backs, so he needed Malcolm Brown. I don't blame him for spending 30% of his fab budget on him.
Yeah, and I was that, yeah, like you said, I bid $38 on him. And, I think Malcolm Brown is going to be someone that he's definitely going to be starting for, 6-7 games. But I do think eventually they have invested draft capital into Cam Akers, the Rams have. And I think eventually Cam Akers will be the guy. But I do like that pickup. Good for Derek. I am glad personally that I did not bid more, because I want to save for a freak injury that happens. Somebody big goes down and everyone's fighting for a big name on the waiver wire. I want to save, so I'm happy I didn't get him for that price. But I do think it's ultimately a good thing for Derek.
Yeah, it seemed like the average after that highest bid of 63 was kind of like around the 30, 35 range. So yeah, not surprised there. Next bid, highest player to go was Dallas Goedert for $23. Look, I wanted to take a chance on Dallas Goedert. I think what we're seeing in Philadelphia could be unique. Contract talks with Ertz are not going well, so they might be shifting to Goedert in the future. I like the talent. I like the prospect. I spent 10% on him, not dropping a ton of cash. I'm happy with this. I'm not, not disappointed with it.
Yeah, I think that I just don't want to invest in a tight end that there's also somebody who's like one of the best in the game right across the field from him. I wasn't crazy about that. I was a little surprised. I thought you were going to just, stick with Jared Cook. Did you do the Dallas Goedert before or after you knew you had Jared Cook?
It was after I knew I had Jared Cook. I still needed to drop Blake Jarwin. I was going back and forth between a couple people. This happens to me every year. It happened to me last year too. I lost Hunter Henry in week 1. I always have tight end problems. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of a security move for me. That's the reason why I did it. Then this one's a little bit of a shocker for me. Adrian Peterson to the Buckinghams for $20. I don't blame Kelsey for picking up Adrian Peterson. He looked good on Sunday. $20 might be a little bit high for me. I was expecting more of like maybe the 5 to 7% range on Adrian Peterson. But hey, I mean, if you're going to get AP, you got to spend high.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Kelsey's team. with Lev Bell going down, I do think that he needed just to make sure that he got a top guy that's going to be getting a lot of snaps. I think he got that in AP.
I agree. Benny Snell Jr. to you, the James Conner owner for $5.
Sexy pickup.
Yeah, look, it's not the sexiest pickup, but hey, you needed to do it. I almost made a bid on Benny Snell, and if I did, it was going to be around that $5 mark. I think that's really good. Now I just feel bad for you because now you have to play the headache of who's starting in Pittsburgh. Not a fun game to play.
Yeah, I didn't want to just go out and draft Benny Snell. I knew that no one was going to take him, so I'm happy that it was only 5. If somebody else would have grabbed him, I would have been in deep trouble. But
very true.
I'm good for another week.
Yes, Marquez Valdes-Scantling to Fresh Prince of Bel-Air for $2. He looked good on Sunday, and the Chiefs D to Teddy Bruschi's for $1. Yeah, a couple claims that didn't go through. I was surprised we didn't have any more defenses go off waivers. I know maybe people are waiting for Second Harvest here to see what happened first. I'm sure we'll see a lot more of that in the days to come.
Matchup recap.
All right, here we are. Matchup recap. Going over the weekend's fantasy scores now. We had the Teddy Bruschi's defeating my Balzac Ertz in a rematch of the championship game. 155.35 to 132.6. Yeah, I was watching my team and kind of sweating it out all day Sunday because the curse of John Brown almost comes back and gets me again. Tim always beats me with John Brown. This time he decided to start the entire Buffalo Bills offense against me in Josh Allen, John Brown, and Devin Singletary, and almost beat me because Josh Allen was going off. I was nervous for quite a while until Josh Jacobs decided to have a day.
Yeah, and how mad I was when you took Josh Jacobs from me. He's my guy. I think he's going to finish as a top 5 running back. I will say I saw this, and especially after week 1, we just have running back heaven right now on Joe's team. Every single running back he has is somebody that you could start in your flex week in, week out. I really believe that. I do think that Tim's got something for the AFC East, taking Jordan Howard from the Dolphins, starting 3 Buffalo Bills. Do you think that 2 years ago we'd be saying that? Yeah, well, starting 3 Buffalo Bills will probably be good for your fantasy team.
Did not see it coming.
That's craziness.
It's happening this year. Next matchup of the weekend was Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, 157.6 over Pooch Top Joe Bonham, 116.95, taking revenge over that El Saco loss last year.
Yeah, and I really like Kyler Murray. I thought that he was a steal for him. He looks so good, and then he rushing for 100 yards. I think he might be kind of... I thought he would be kind of like Lamar Jackson. I think he's a way better passer, and then he's got way better receiver in DeAndre Hopkins. So I was really like to see that. DJ Moore, that's scary. That's scary that he's spent so much on him, but yikes. You don't know if he's really he's obviously the number one talent, but he's probably not going to be the guy getting the most targets.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I wouldn't sound the alarm bells yet. It's only week 1, but yeah, I mean, dude, Kyler Murray, the MVP chance are starting. The Buckinghams lost 109.55 to blank you, Tim, 143.5. Man, Kevin's team, wow, they're looking good.
It's really solid.
Robert Woods, Thielen went off. I don't think you're going to see that from Thielen every week. It was the kind of a game script score, but looks good. And then look who's sitting on his bench, Raheem Mostert with 25.1. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but looked good win for Kevin.
He looks to be, I think his team is going to be one of the most consistent in our league. I think everybody for him is going to be getting 10 points or more. And then he has plenty of people on his team that could go absolute boom and really take over any week. And if Joe's team is running back Kevin, then we have running back drought in Kelsey's team. So once again, we'll see what AP can do for him, but looking real rough when it comes to the running backs.
Might be tough treading there. All right, the next game, yourself hooked on a Thielen, losing 127.8 to Okuda Oblongata with 144. Evan, with the good old smash at running back, decided to play Miles Sanders, who didn't start. I think that's definitely the OPE of the week this week.
OPE?
Yeah, I texted Evan on Saturday as soon as the game started, and I was like, dude, you're starting Miles Sanders. And he's like, oh yeah, he was questionable. It was said he might play, so I took the risk. I was like, no, he was announced out Saturday night. The Eagles press conference announced he was out of the game. Boston Scott was taking over. Still managed to sneak away with a win though.
He didn't even sneak. He steamrolled me. I mean, with a performance like that from Devontae Adams, I saw that happening, in real time, and I just knew it was over. Unless I had, Ty catching 2 touchdowns or something like that, I knew it was over. I had a little bit of hope, a shred of hope with James Conner, but it was, as soon as I saw him out, it was tears down here in Austin, Texas.
Yep, not enough. And last game of the week, Antonio's Brownies 109.15 against Stat Padford's 127.7. Thomas comes away with the win. This was a close. We thought this was going to be the closest matchup of the week. It was. It came down to the wire. But man, Russell Wilson.
He's cooking.
Looking
good.
Cook. Yeah, he looked really good. Thomas now dealing with the whole Michael Thomas injury. We'll see what happens there. But, yeah. Anything else to say about these matchups, Taylor?
No, I just am so happy fantasy football's back. I'm so glad we're having these conversations.
It's so great to see. Love to see it. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the standings up on the screen right now. We've got in the East, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air at 1, Okuda Oblongata at 2 in the division, Blank You Tim at 3, my ball Zach Ertz at 4, and Antonio's Brownies sitting in last place in the East. Over to the West, the Teddy Brewskis at 1, Stat Padford at 2, Hooked on a Thielen at 3, Pooch Top Joe Bonham at 4, and the Buckinghams sitting down at 5.
Best start, worst sit.
All right, we're dropping into Best Start, Worst Sit, the new segment of the week. Basically, we looked at everybody's teams. The best start is someone who, usually a flex-worthy player, someone that is not, an automatic play every week, but you decided to start them, and they had a killer week. My best start goes to Pujan. Will Fuller 5. Man, 8 for 112. No touchdowns, but 112 yards. That was 19.2 fantasy points for Pooj this week. And, it was one of those things where you saw the matchup coming. The over-under was super high against Kansas City. You knew Deshaun Watson was going to have to throw the ball. And you knew it was going to have to be to someone that's, not Brandon Cooks because he's injured. It was Will Fuller. great start for Pooj. Really like that.
Yeah, we just hope that Will Fuller will stay on the field. We'll see how long he stays healthy. For me, my start of the week goes to Jamison Crowder on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I think that Jamison Crowder was a super unsexy pick, but a super solid pick. I think that most of that offense, what little offensive numbers are going to happen for the New York Jets, is going to happen through Jamison Crowder. Just kudos to Derek. He saw it. He saw it in the tea leaves. And Jamison Crowder getting 24.5 points this week. Good for you.
PPR machine for sure. Okay, and then we have the worst sits. These are players that, looking at your starting lineup, you probably should have started over. These players that you sat over the people in your lineup. I had a couple in here. I saw TJ Hawkinson on Pooj's team, but, I mean, Pooj has Travis Kelce, and why would you ever start Hawk over Travis Kelce? So that was not my pick. I went with Raheem Mostert. 15 for 56 on the ground, 4 receptions for 95 yards and a touchdown. Obviously, he had that huge 75-yard touchdown. 25.1 points, fantasy points for him on the week. And yeah, I mean, I thought Kevin was going to start him over Brandon Cooks. I mean, we knew going into that Thursday night game that Brandon Cooks was questionable. I'm surprised he didn't start Raheem Mostert. I have it from very good sources, a.k.a. Kevin himself, that he will be starting Mostert next week.
Hot off the presses. He loves Mostert now. For me, my worst sit, it goes to Evan for Darius Slayton. Obviously, if he would have seen that Miles Sanders news a little bit earlier, I think he would have definitely started Darius Slayton, and he missed out on 28.2 points. Ultimately, he didn't need it because he was playing my team, the worst in the league. But that would be my worst sit of the week.
Oh?
Yeah, another big ope for you.
He needs another ope.
Golly, man. Yeah, that's for sure. All right, we're moving forward. Got some brand new power rankings for you.
Power rankings. Hooah.
All right, starting from the bottom up, 10th on our power ranking, consensus power rankings, is the Buckinghams. Yeah, I mean, it's, I think it's going to be tough sledding for the Buckinghams. Beyond those first couple running backs, I get a little bit nervous. We kind of talked about it last week, but not a terribly strong presentation this past weekend.
Yeah, it's really hard in a double flex league to just be so thin at running back. He's number 10 for me.
Yeah, we love you, Kelsey, but not your team. Sorry. All right, next on the list, number 9, Antonio's Brownies. Man, a tough week for him. Marshall's got Lamar Jackson, which is huge. But looking through the rest of that, it was a tough matchup week for his players, but still, I get a little bit nervous about what's going on.
Yeah, the Browns are scary. He's got Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb, I think, had 5 points this past week. That's definitely scary. I do like, though, J.K. Dobbins. That's a good pickup for him. It looks like J.K. Dobbins is going to be a star this year.
Definitely agree. Coming in at 8 is Pooj top, Joe bottom. Yeah, rough week again for Pooj. We'll see what happens. He's got a nice trio of Pat Mahomes, Dalvin Cook, and Travis Kelce. But the OBJ performance, man, if OBJ is the same guy he was last year, it's going to be scary.
Yeah, it looks like it might be a long year. And same thing for me with Mike Evans. I think that there's so much going on. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers were very underwhelming. So Mike Evans might not be, he might end up being like his second flex start. That might end up being what we see happen just because they do not look good. Yeah,
we didn't talk about that at the top, but the Bucs, wow. Both of us, we didn't buy into the hype. Did not look good. Not at all. Honestly, I'm worried about him. I think Bruce Arians is a little bit too after his press conference shade at Tom Brady. Coming in at 7, I'm sorry. I know you won, Thomas, but it's Stat Padford again. There's just a lot of shifting ahead of you in the power rankings. If they let Russ cook, we're gonna have a good season for Thomas. He's got that Chris Carson, Russell Wilson stack. But now you're dealing with that Michael Thomas injury that kind of pushed you down a little bit in the power rankings. You worry about that. George Kittle, too. Some things to keep an eye on there. And Juju. Juju didn't practice on a couple days this week. Juju didn't. And man, I don't know if you watched the Chargers. Tyrod Taylor scares me, man. I don't know if Keenan Allen is going to have a good season. We'll see. We'll see. Coming in at number 5 was yourself, hooked on a Thielen. Yeah, I mean, you moved down a couple spots from last week, but you still have a solid team despite taking the loss. I think it's just a matter of time until your team goes off.
Yeah, I think my team is solid. I've had a really hard time not, being depressed the first couple of days this week after what happened over the weekend. But I do think that, it was really encouraging seeing AJ Green being on the field and being healthy. But, he could be like a Will Fuller where he just goes down and he's just out for the season. That very easily could happen. In general, though, I do like my team. And I think we skipped number 6. I think coming in number 6, we have my ball, Zach Ertz.
Right, we did. I skipped Tim. Tim is at 6. I can't remember where he was at last week. Yeah.
I think Tim would have been, number 5. He would have overtaken me if it wasn't for this trade.
We'll get into that because that, for me, drastically changed the power rankings. Yeah, I mean, I had to move him down there because of the trade and just... you get scared about. He's got Kenny G. Talking about injuries there. Cortland Sutton didn't play this weekend. We'll see there. All right, back up to number 4. Blank you, Tim. Coming in at number 4. Solid weekend for Kevin. I think he's got a great team. We talked about a little bit. Thielen is your wide receiver 1. I don't know if you'll see 31 points or in that realm very often from him. But solid team. He's got Mostert on now in his starting lineup. Good prospects for Kevin.
Absolutely. And he's also got Noah Fant there, and Noah Fant went off for the Broncos. And I was like, maybe he's on waivers right now. And I was just so irritated that Kevin took him because I was really looking for a better tight end.
Yes, sir. All right. Coming in at number 3, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Yeah, Derek actually, prior to the trade going down Monday night, was my number 1 team for power rankings. I think his team looked great this weekend. He's got a lot of solid players. Just like consistent players. You're talking Derrick Henry, he has like the most solid floor. If Kyler Murray keeps doing what he's doing, it's going to be ridiculous. Ridley looked good. Like I said, he was number 1 before this trade went down.
Yeah, I am in love with his starting lineup. Absolutely in love. The thing for me that kept him at number 3 is just his bench. I think his bench is pretty thin with Preston Williams. Are you ever going to play him? No. Deshaun Jackson, not looking like there's a whole lot of opportunity for him with the Eagles. But I do love his starters. I think Derek could take out anybody any week.
Agreed. Coming in at number 2, Evan Okuda Oblongata. Solid team. Worried about Miles Sanders a little bit now. With this ongoing injury, I think ultimately he'll be fine. But man, the Christian McCaffrey, Devontae Adams, Mark Andrews stack, wow. It's going to be a fun ride for Evan this season.
Yeah. This week definitely solidified his receivers, I think, are the best in the league. He's got the best receivers in our league. It's just the running backs for him that kept him at number 2 for me. Mark Ingram didn't look great. Miles Sanders, big question mark. Phillip Lindsay, I just don't think he's really going to be a part of the offense. So that's the only thing that takes away from his team, but his team is loaded.
Yes, for sure. For sure. That one's for Pooj. Consensus number 1, the Teddy Bruschi's coming in at number 1. Yeah, I talked about it. Look, I was sitting at number 2, but after that trade, I just think that kind of puts me up to 1 and kind of solidifies it there.
Well, I do want to point out, Joe is humble. He did not select himself as number 1, but I certainly did select him as number 1. Everything to me has gone right for the Teddy Bruschi's in the last week. With him getting James Robinson off waivers and him really shining for the Jaguars. And honestly, I thought the Jaguars were going to look really, really bad. I was shocked that they came away with a W.
Yeah.
But for Joe's team, it's just looking so good. You have, Amari Cooper, who had a pretty solid game. Tyler Lockett had a pretty boom game. And then you just see he's got Nyheim Hines and Jonathan Taylor. The Colts backfield is going to get a lot of work. Like I said, I think he's got such great running backs, and he's got really, really solid receivers. I think his whole entire team is just so solid. You're number 1. You're number 1, Joe.
I'm not pointing number 1. I'm pointing behind me to this man behind me. You didn't talk about him. David Johnson?
Love to gloat. I don't want to bring it up. David Johnson, it's a good pick. I'll say
I
was wrong.
That's all I
we
wanted
were
to hear.
wrong. We were wrong, Joe.
That's all I ever wanted to hear. All right, matchup previews for this week. Here we go.
Matchup preview.
All right, some big matchup previews. First off, we've got Antonio's Brownies 0-1 at the Teddy Brewskis 1-0. Yeah, I mean, Lamar Jackson going against Houston, I'm scared of that for sure. You never know. And, man, Tyreek Hill, you just never know when he's going to go off. I do feel good about my running backs, though. They've got some good matchups. We'll see what happens.
I think it's an easy dub. Easy dub for the Brewskis.
No easy dub in fantasy football, though. All right, next up, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air 1-0 at the Buckinghams 0-1. Yeah, we talked about it. Give me Derek in this game. I think Kyler Murray has a huge game against Washington. Derrick Henry playing the Jags. I mean, that's literally every time he plays the Jags, he has like at least 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. That'll probably happen again.
Starters are too good. I got Derek as well.
And Okuda Oblongata 1-0 at Pooch Top Joe Bottom 0-1.
I think it's easy for Evan.
I think so too.
Tariq Cohen scares me. Mike Evans scares me. Odell scares me. I can't give it to you, Pooch. I'm sorry. I promise this is not an anti-Pooch podcast. I promise. Yeah, but I got Evan.
I don't know, because I don't know if Evan's going to start another injured player.
Come on, he'll learn from his mistakes. I just don't know. He's
a wild card. All right, next we had Stat Padford 1-0 at My Ball Zach Ertz. This is going to be a good game, I think. I mean, Tim is heavily favored as of now. I think Thomas has enough players that could go off, that could bring him, back into relevance here. I don't know.
I think he can survive if Michael Thomas is not in. He just is really going to rely on Juju, on George Kittle. Keenan Allen is going to have to show something out of nothing with that Chargers offense. I think it could happen, but I definitely would go Tim on this.
And last but not least, the game of the week. Blank you, Tim, 1-0 at Hooked on a Thielen. You're going for some redemption here.
I am. I'm worried. I'm very worried because, Kevin, if you're listening, your team is great. I love your team. I loved your draft. I love your team. I think for me, I'm looking at Marvin Jones. He's going to be playing the Packers. I don't really believe in the Packers defense. I think that the Vikings offense is just terrible. I like DeAndre Hopkins playing Washington football team. I like that start. I think Joe Mixon is going to be better. I think that his week 1 was really rough for me. And I liked what I saw from Joe Burrow and AJ Green. I like that connection. I think I can take it, but Kevin's team is so good.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. I really don't know who to pick, so I'm not going to. Are you going to let me get away with that?
No, come on. Just tell me. Come on, Joe.
All right, I hate to do this to you, Tay, but I think I'm going to have to take Kevin in this matchup. We'll see,
I knew you weren't a friend.
It's going to be a close game. All right, we had Name Game Week 2. If you didn't check out the picture in the Facebook group, go check it out. I posted it yesterday morning. Up on the screen, we got our names. Derek was all over it. He got them all right. We had Dallas Goedert, Cam Newton, Taysom Hill, Jordan Love, Clay Matthews, and my boy, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Derek's good at this. He nailed it. Every single one.
He's our commish. He's the commish. He knows.
I guess so. I mean, man, very, very impressive. Tay, we have more football tonight. The Battle of Ohio, Cincinnati and Cleveland. Should be interesting. All right, that does it for us. Another episode of the Official League Podcast. Be sure to check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. And remember, you can't spell fun without FU. Peace out, guys.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Bands Make Her Dance Fantasy Football League Podcast.